Yeah, it's been 3 whole years since Sappho came out with that iconic video of hers and in turn led us down one of the biggest rabbit holes on the channel. Given she's still out there and a bit has gone down since last year, let's see what we've missed out on together. Shout out to the channel members like always, and if you'd want to support yourself, you can subscribe to my Patreon in the corner or YouTube memberships by clicking the join button. Remember to like the video, subscribe for more content. Now let's get right back into the Hypnotist Sappho Saga here. The very day my last video dropped, Sappho would make a post in the entry chat to her Telegram channel Sappho's Dip and try to goad any detractors recently joining due to my video. Also saying that my video had numerous errors despite it being yet another shitty lie by her, saying that nothing illegal happened, which we all know is also a lie as she's into animals and has dated teenagers. She would of course invite people to message her privately because she's a sick and manipulative freak like that, but since I and many other people aren't stupid enough to take the bait, this didn't lead to anything of value in the end. On October 9th, a member of the chat named Veil the Silly will make a similar post themselves shouting me out, but again, I don't give a fuck at this attempt to try and bait me because I'm not stupid like that, and so this will fall on deaf ears as things slow down once again. There's also this link to another chat as you can see, but we'll get into that a little later on. On October 26th, Sappho would return to social media, making an account on the website Bluesky, making a post about how to not let society hold you back for what you want to do and saying rules and laws and such are made to be broken, obviously trying to bait people some more. Now if I'm being honest, the account isn't very interesting and is mainly just saying dumb things for attention, which while was up Sappho's alley, wasn't of any interest. At one point when showing off how many people have blocked him on the site, someone would reply doubting it was her, and Sappho would notably reply in a way that implies that, meaning that something might be going on here. There'd be another post on November 5th that implies that as well, saying it was nice to get threats as if they were Sappho, and it turns out since the very beginning they made the account, they told somebody they weren't actually Sappho, but once again another orbiter and impersonator desperate for attention so much on the internet. On November 17th, whoever's behind this account would say they got to them, whatever this they is, and would go silent after that. On May 22nd, 2024, they will come back for a quick moment and say they periodically check the account out but aren't using it to contact anybody, meaning that this Sappho orbiter probably got what they deserved even if they're still around online. They also follow me on the site too and I didn't even know because I haven't used it in like a year, so piss off and don't try to contact me after I release this video if you see it because I'm not going to speak to you. On December 11th, 2023, information having to do with Sappho and the local police who have dealt with her back dating from August 2022 to January 2023 will leak out. The first would be a police report dated August 7th, 2022, in which around 8 AM that day, Sappho, aka Valerie Arden, and another person named Shannon would get attacked by somebody named Kathy at the Eastern Idaho Behavioral Health Center, which if you remember, the night prior, Valerie was hiding in her car threatening to game end herself back during the Coyote Lovely escapade, with his story involving Sappho being a whole other can of worms that I'll eventually get into one day. The report says that the police pulled up that morning after getting a call about Kathy attacking random people at the facility and one just happened to be Valerie, and things that end off basically going over how Kathy has schizophrenia and other mental health issues, with Val and Shannon choosing to not press charges. Both of them would even give official statements on paper, with the person of the hour being the most important here obviously and tying things together from my last video, and notably at the end of the police report the officer would say they uploaded the body cam footage to their jurisdiction, meaning there might be footage of Sappho out there behind closed doors. On September 1st, 2022, someone would call the police on Sappho and an officer would head over to check things out, with that specific incident being labeled as harassment and nothing ever came of this further. Where things get interesting is that on January 3rd, 2023, someone named Leia will file a police report against Sappho for a suspicious incident as it says at the top there. The report goes that the officer was dispatched to St. Luke's Episcopal Church, the place that people were able to fully confirm Sappho's identity, in which Leia would tell them how Sappho told her she was having feelings toward a 16-year-old on the East Coast despite being 22, even saying they were going to get them a promise ring, something that Sappho has been seen wearing before. The report continues on saying that somebody contacted Leia on November 6, 2022 by someone named Duncan and that he introduced himself as a Kiwi Farms user. Things would build up and eventually after learning about Sappho from Duncan, Leia would have a friend look into her and come across several YouTube videos about her, with the officer saying he was unable to conclusively link them to her, which, hey bro, I get it, he's an officer, the law's a lot stricter this kind of stuff. Leia would say how she was concerned Valerie might be grooming a kid and so listed all the information she knows about her, naming off the usual aliases but also adding a new one named Valerie DuPont Vakelich into the mix, giving us yet another name to add to the list. The rest is the officer mainly just saying how he gave things a quick look up and moved it over for detectives to check out, also saying that Leia provided a full written report she made herself when gathering up info on Valerie. Leia's report starts off with all the relevant info at hand anybody needs to see before getting into the nitty gritty from her side of things, saying they first met Valerie DuPont Vakelich was probably another typo by the officer, on November 6, 2022, learning a bit about her over a cup of coffee such as her Air Force and cybersecurity goals. Eventually, Valerie would stop by and give some puzzles she bought for the future preschool the church is planning on, with her asking how to get closer to God as Leia would give advice on this spiritual journey of hers, with the staff also collecting all important info such as her phone number and date of birth. Where things get concerning is that Valerie would open up to Leia about being judged in the past and eventually confessing to being into a teenager 6 years younger than them, with Leia going on to point out this isn't a matter of being judged anymore but legality and the vast power difference between them. Val would say there's no physical contact between the two of them, but that she planned to meet their parents and present a promise ring to them, with Leia saying this is more appropriate for teenagers and not a fully grown adult. Val was sending a donation to the church on her Venmo account, while Leia pointing out that she had her profile picture on the app of her online character, also assuming the person in question is most likely a woman that Val was into. Eventually, around November 20th, Val would show off the black promise ring and say she met up with the parents when asked by Leia, in which she would tell this story about her best friend Heidi and how when she was 16 she met a man she liked and kept his number until she was 18 to seek him out, saying they've been together for 30 years now. Instead of understanding the message here is to not contact the child, Val would take this as a sign of hope, but Leia would remind her that this is a child she's messing with as she exited the conversation and sat down for the sermon, with that being the last time they ever met again. On November 23rd, an anonymous person would contact the church and say Val was a dangerous person, but they wouldn't pay any mind to it as they just assumed it was a random stranger and nothing more. This would occur 2 more times that night, and around a month later on December 19th, Duncan would comment on the November 6th stream link in her Kiwi Farms page for them to look into. After finding out about all the heinous things that Val has done online, Leia would talk about this with other members of the church, with one being a lawyer, discussing what to do next as they just learned about Val's past of grooming kids. The lawyer would encourage Leia to reach out to the police about this, in which she obviously did given this report, saying that she would not let Val back into the church if she were to ever show up again, and for other churches in the Idaho Falls community around to be informed about her as well as things end off. A detective would follow up with their support on January 6th, and while nothing of importance was said as he closed the case from then onwards, he does confirm that Sappho is indeed a name of interest with agencies around the world, meaning that her every move is being watched by the right people. With the news that Sappho is being watched and that she's shit at cybersecurity given she's always getting caught despite her attempts at keeping herself safe, she would dip from the Telegram chat, and Val will put out a message from that Val's dip link I mentioned on December 17th, 2023 explaining as such to everyone. It's not surprising it's happened given how she keeps running whenever people find out more and more about her. And this time I personally think it's because people found out yet another alias of hers, Valerie DuPont Vuklich, but either way, she was off in the win once again. Where things get funny is that Ruben Sim, a YouTuber best known for exposing the disgusting freaks within the Roblox community, would comment on Sappho's Kiwi Farms thread on January 27, 2024 and claim he ran into her in a Discord server he was investigating. This ended up not being true and it was actually another person entirely, though at one point the server owner Eli Yif will end up contacting a Kiwi Farms user on Telegram the next day and send messages begging them to stop harassing Sappho, meaning that even though the other person wasn't her, he was inadvertently admitting she was in the server, albeit under an unknown account. Or maybe he was just putting this out as a red herring and doing some trolling, I don't really know, but it's worth pointing out for y'all to see. On January 29th, Sappho will come back to their YouTube channel and make a long-winded post saying that she isn't that other person and that Ruben Sim is dumb for not being able to see that, naming off stuff like her vocal inflections and whatnot, and that anyone who says they are her are just more orbiters and attention seekers. She would say how she's been trying to move on from her past and that she's been in therapy and on medications to control her mental health issues, saying that she burned all bridges with everyone she used to speak to. She also tries to epically own Ruben for calling her a dude because she's transgender, but given she's a pedo and zoophile, he, she, whatever, I don't really give a fuck what anyone calls this freak, and would end things off peacing out from the public once again. She also made a second post that was basically more the same as we just read over, though in this one says she doesn't play VR chat anymore, which is something worth of interest for those keeping up. The next day on the 30th, Sappho was sent 3 voice messages to some random furry chat ran by someone named Len Gilbert, that which is basically the same as what she said about Ruben Sim except shorter and with her voice.
You know, it's really funny to have people that have never talked to me and have no idea what I sound like to tell me I sound anything like that person. No, it's exactly what Sappho sounds like, says the person that's never talked to me before. This is my more Twinkie voice if you'd prefer that though.
Someone will leak the logs of a Discord server called Hive in early February 2024, showing that back in May 2023 she linked people from a Telegram chat to the place. When going through it, however, it wasn't very interesting to be honest, with the only thing worth noting that yet another orbiter of hers will end up taking the name Hypnotist Sappho on Discord for shits and giggles. On June 15th, 2024, Sappho would again make a YouTube community post clarifying they since dropped their Sappho identity and is being medicated for the multiple mental illnesses, again telling people the reason why she hasn't been arrested is because the law is very strict when it comes to this kind of stuff, with things ending off shortly afterwards. On August 7th, there will be a video uploaded by someone named Killa interrogating someone named Hypnotist Sappho, who they say is a pedo in VR chat, with the person in question having a voice changer on. Some people say it's Sappho, but I can't really tell or not given they don't have the same vocal cadence as her, though the fact they're using a voice changer look a bit similar with their avatar, and at one point mentioned some people think they quit the internet does raise suspicion.
Actually, I was trying to get help at one point.
Then you stopped?
Yeah, why'd you stop?
I went to a church, and then while I was at the church,
Bro, God ain't gonna fucking help you,
where
bro.
my church was.
A therapist, bro.
No, people doxed where the church was, so people started harassing me at the church. So I stopped going to the church.
Well, because they knew what you did.
Some people think I quit the internet, and some people think I committed suicide.
Someone on Kiwi Farms will alter the voice to try and match it up to one of the old videos of Sappho talking when they had their natural voice, so here's that for you to listen to.
I have to lift like, here, I'll say this, I lift like 3,000 pounds probably a day, probably more actually.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Glowing Brightly channel, where I make the feds seethe and the man children cry by giving you the security advice that you deserve.
When someone tries to fix themselves and it doesn't work, they don't go and try to fix themselves again.
Now honestly, when taking into account that church story that Zyro told matching up almost exactly how it went down with Sappho, plus the fact the audio clips sound a bit closer when the voice is pitched up, I'm actually starting to lean into the direction it might have been Sappho. It only gets more suspicious as a Hypnotist Zyro account has been deleted off VR chat since the video dropped, so maybe there was something going on here. Again, nothing super concrete, but the context clues were lining up as people investigated before Zyro abandoned ship. As y'all can see, this year's iteration of the Hypnotist Sappho Saga was a lot shorter and less eventful, with the only stuff worth a note is that Sappho is still out there on heavy medications and that law agencies have her on their radar. While there was that recent scare that she might be back on VR chat, that doesn't seem to be anything worth a note so far, and it seems that whenever her name is brought up, only then does she poke her head around the corner to speak up. Of course, it's not just when people speak about her, as on August 30th, 2024, as I was researching her just under 2 weeks ago, I noticed that she replied to a handful of comments not even a full 24 hours earlier on her YouTube channel, meaning that she's still a bit semi-active and still lurking around on the internet under her Sappho identity despite saying she's dropped it to this very day. However, given the fact that not much info came out within the past year, it seems that after the past 3 years that things might finally be coming to a close. The fact that police haven't locked her up for the nasty things she's done like dating children in the past is unfortunate, and while I personally wish for them to do a proper investigation into Sappho and arrest her instead of just keeping her on their radars, it doesn't seem like they care enough to do so. Perhaps Sappho truly is finally getting the proper help she needs for her mental health issues, or perhaps not. I don't really know, nor do I really care given all the shit she's done on the internet, but it seems we might finally be at the end of this story. I want to explicitly point out that despite Sappho constantly saying she's bettering herself, she is still a pedo and zoophile at the end of the day. She may very well be getting the help she needs, but she is still a dangerous person that no one should try to contact, including y'all, at any point in time. I've seen some people commenting on her community posts about wanting to contact her and her opening up to that idea, but I want to warn you now to not do that and not fall for her tricks. We've seen for the past 3 years how manipulative she can be, and even though I personally think she's shit at it given she thought that flirting with me years back would somehow get me off her shit list or on her side or to leave her alone or whatever, it's clear that this is her go-to bread and butter to get people who are a lot mentally weaker to give into whatever she has planned. Sappho is a dangerous person who should not be contacted at any point, and I want to make that very clear now as this might end up being the last iteration of the Hypnotist Sappho Saga after all we've been through for the past 3 years together. I'm not expecting anything of note to come out next year after what I've seen this past year, so hey, at least at the end of it all we have ourselves a proper investigation to look back upon on one of the internet's and furry fandom's most infamous predators that will never be forgotten anytime soon.